The Midlife Transition Traps. 3 costly mistakes to avoid. Welcome to Personal Development Mastery Podcast. This episode 579 comes out as the podcast turns 6. And I want to acknowledge that briefly because 6 years of conversations about personal development, change, and inner growth have taught me many things. But there is in particular something important that I have learned. When people get stuck in major transitions, it's usually not because they lack courage or intelligence or even insight. Most of the people listening to this are thoughtful, capable, and reflective. They have made good decisions before. They know how to take responsibility. And yet, when it comes to changing direction in this stage of life, many remain stuck, far longer than they need to. What I've come to recognize is this. People do not get stuck because they are weak. They get stuck because they fall into traps that seem reasonable in the moment. Today, I want to name the 3 most costly of these traps so that if you recognize yourself in any of them, you can avoid losing years to something that seems sensible on the surface, but actually keeps you in the same place. Before I go into them, let me say this clearly. If you recognize yourself here, this is not a judgment. It is information. These traps are common, especially among high-functioning professionals who are used to figuring things out on their own. The first trap is treating the transition as a private mental project. This one sounds like this. I should be able to work this out on my own. I just need a bit more time to think. Once I understand it better, it will become clear. So you reflect, you journal, you listen to podcasts like this one, you turn things over in your mind again and again. On the surface, this looks the responsible thing to do. It looks like self-reliance. But what it often turns into is an endless loop. You see, you are trying to solve an identity transition using the same internal tools that worked very well in your old role. Thinking harder, analyzing more. And what I want you to consider is that the cost of this trap, it's not dramatic. It is time. Months pass, then a year passes, and you are still circling the same questions, just with more sophisticated language. Identity transitions cannot be resolved through thinking alone. They need structure. And structure almost always comes from outside the closed system of your own mind. Trap number 2 is waiting for clarity before taking action. This one often follows directly from the first trap. Thoughts like, I don't want to act prematurely, or I need to be clearer before I make a move, or once I know what the right direction is, then I will act. Again, this sounds sensible. But what usually happens is that clarity becomes the condition for action, and action never quite materializes. You start to confuse readiness with certainty, and these are 2 different things. The truth is that clarity rarely comes first. It comes second. It comes from movement, from feedback, from doing something real and noticing what it gives you. It is movement that creates orientation, not the other way around. And the longer you wait for clarity, the harder it becomes to move. Your confidence does not grow, it quietly wears down. And that's what I really want to emphasize again here. Waiting for clarity before acting often means waiting indefinitely. And the trap number 3, the third trap, is normalizing a low-level dissatisfaction. And this is perhaps the most dangerous of the traps because it is the easiest to justify. You can say, it's fine, I can manage this, I shouldn't complain, or it's not bad enough to change. In this situation, nothing is collapsing. Your life still works. You are functioning. On paper, things look fine, acceptable. But inside, something is slightly off. The cost of this trap is subtle. It shows up as a slow erosion of self-trust. It shows up as a quiet drop in energy. You see, fine is not neutral. Very often, fine is an early warning sign. People do not usually wake up one morning in crisis. They drift there slowly by repeatedly telling themselves that something that no longer fits is good enough. If you are listening to this and you recognize yourself in one of these traps, you are not alone. Many people recognize themselves in 2 of them, some in all 3 of these. And the real cost here is not immediate pain. It is time. Avoiding these traps doesn't mean making a dramatic leap or risking your income or family life. It is about regaining orientation and moving steadily instead of drifting along. This phase of life is not about having all the answers. It is about direction. And that difference is what separates people who stay stuck for years from those who move forward one grounded step at a time. If you recognize yourself in these traps and you would like support to regain orientation, you can book a transition mapping session with me at personaldevelopmentmasterypodcast.com/mentor. That's all for today. Until next time, stand out and don't fit in.